Look, here's the deal. You can speed up your metabolism. Contrary to some fitness influencers on social media, it's true. You could definitely make your metabolism much faster.
Is that people are saying you can't do that?
So, here's what I like. What I love and what I don't like. I don't want to say love. What I like and what I don't like about our space is the same thing. And here's what it is.
Because it creates opportunity for us.
Totally. Most fitness influencers,
dum-dums.
most people, yeah, they're idiots, like total idiots. They communicate terribly, bad information, and they play this game of counter to try to gain attention.
Yeah.
And what's happening right now, because what's really gone, or what's become common knowledge in our space, right, the coaching fitness space, is that you can do what's called a reverse diet. You can train a particular way, speed up your metabolism, and then make fat loss or sustainable fat loss much easier. Well, now I'm seeing these people on social media, these, quote unquote fitness influencers, and they're saying things like, yes, Mrs. Johnson didn't lose weight on 1,200 calories, and then we had her eat more, and then she went back down to 1,200 calories and she lost weight. What really happened was she wasn't at 1,200 calories to begin with, and then you see comments underneath or whatever. And it's annoying because it's not true. Number one. Now, can that possibly be true? Yes. But what's annoying is what they're doing is what they're inferring is that you can't affect your metabolism in the positive. Now, we have very hard data to show that metabolic adaptation happens. In other words, your body can learn to burn less calories if you're in a low-calorie environment, if your activity looks a particular way. But for some reason, when the conversation goes around moving in the other direction, the people will say, no, you can't do that. You can't make your metabolism faster, which is completely
So their
bullshit.
answer is just basically that they've miscalculated.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're amounting the increase to be towards.
That's one in like 1,000 people.
Yeah, I mean
that happens.
Sure,
It happens.
there's anomalies like that.
There's clients who
they just don't know.
There's clients who came to me who's, I eat this much, and then when I actually tracked and we figured it all out, it's like, no, you don't, and now you're eating correctly, and that's why we're losing weight. But that's actually really rare. Yeah. Really, really rare. I mean, I remember when I used to get a client who would tell me like, like openly, like out of my, I eat candy this many times a day. I go to McDonald's this many, like, and they're like, I looked at their calories and I'm like, oh my God, this person's eating 5,000 calories every day. And I used to love that. I'd be like, this can be easy.
Yeah.
Tighten their diet up. They're going to drop. What was more common was someone who's just like, Adam, I eat this and this, all day. This is all I eat. And I'm struggling with weight. And what is that a majority of the time they are eating like that. Then they have the one day where they go off the rails, which puts them over the surplus bad, but they're
just not burning much.
Yeah, they're not. Their metabolism is extremely slow. And then that person is the person that we had to reverse out. And it took months, sometimes even longer for some people to build that metabolism up. But to say that you can't do that is ridiculous.
It's silly.
Completely unhelpful.
It's totally unhelpful. And to the person who's listening to that, who is struggling, you give them no hope.
Well, it also feeds into the one of the biggest issues I have is just cut calories, move more mentality, because I think that's a losing battle for most people. I think that's the trap most people fall into when they decide to get on their fitness kick, is they go, I just need to eat way less, move way more. And they don't balance out their macros. They don't try and build strength or build muscle. They literally just try and burn.
That's more. Like telling somebody who's struggling with their finances, and you go to them and you go, you just got to make more and save more.
Yeah.
You're
not saving enough.
You're brilliant. Oh my God, you just solved all my problems.
Yeah.
Like it's yes, you got to burn more and you got to eat less. Okay, yeah, okay, duh. But it's way more complicated than that. But here's the deal with the metabolism part. I'll point to the one study that I love pointing to because it was well made, and it really highlights the ability of our metabolic rate to adapt. And then we'll talk about why we have this incredible ability. There's a study, I've quoted this many times. They did it on modern hunter-gatherers. This is the Hadza tribe of northern Tanzania. And they lived the way humans lived thousands of years ago. So they don't have electronics. They hunt and they gather. So when they hunt, they'll wound an animal, chase it down, wait till it gets exhausted, carry it back after they, finish the kill. They are far more active than the average person or the average Western couch potato, okay? And scientists went down and they did with really good sophisticated testing, okay? So this wasn't estimates. This was actually pretty good testing. They tested their metabolic rate, and they were at first kind of like blown away because these hunter-gatherers really didn't burn much more. It was very similar to the average Western couch potato.
Right.
And so everybody's like, oh
Which
my
is
God.
strange. You'd think like your average person would think they're burning so many calories because they're so active.
That's right.
You do reference this study all the time. I don't know if I've ever asked you, what was the original hypothesis of that? Do you know what did they
like
go
going
in,
in, right? Like,
yeah, going in was the hypothesis like, oh, we're so inactive in Americans. Let's go study this tribe that moves all the time. They're going to be burning all these calories.
They didn't. Yes, so there's two things. One is leading up to that, there were lots of studies to show that simply trying to burn more calories is a terrible, and manually I should say, trying to move more. It does improve your health. So I want to say that first. So for anybody who's about to get all up in arms, just moving more. As long as it's appropriate, does improve your health. However, it's a terrible weight loss strategy. We've known this for a long time. There's got lots and lots of studies on this that if you don't change your diet and you just go and try and move more, it's a very it's a failing approach to weight loss. So we knew that. We also knew that it's probably likely that our bodies learn to burn less calories because as hunter-gatherers, calories are actually quite hard to come by. And we take this for granted in modern societies because calories, we've done such a good job. And this is just a pat on the back to modern humanity. We've solved some of the biggest problems that have plagued humanity for thousands and thousands of years. One of the biggest ones was energy was hard to come by. Yeah. Like you go live in the wilderness and you don't have modern agriculture. So the agricultural revolution doesn't exist. You don't have grocery stores, you don't have that kind of stuff. Go try to find 1,000 calories. 1,000 calories. Go try to find it. Yeah. First off, it ain't going to happen with plants. You ain't going to find fields of corn and wheat and, fruits and vegetables. If you find fruit, you're lucky if you find a few berries. If you find an apple, oh my God, praise God, because you got some food for today, but it ain't going to happen for the rest of the month or whatever.
Yeah.
And you'd have to kill an animal, which is calorie intensive, challenging, and dangerous. Okay, so we knew leading into that our bodies probably adapted pretty well because calories are hard to come by. You know that show, what's that show? Alone?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say Naked and Afraid. Yeah. Alone.
That one too. But, in Alone, they actually send wilderness and survival experts out in that. They don't take average people because they know they get their asses kicked. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That wouldn't last very long.
And they actually send them out with like a couple choices of things that they could take.
Oh, yeah. They get like 10 things. They have like a bow or a knife and they've got like stuff to cook with.
Yeah. And the goal is to stay out there for like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, right? Not live your whole life out there.
Yeah.
And they find it to be very challenging. Most of the people actually have to leave early because they injure themselves because they don't get enough food. So it's really hard. So these modern hunter-gatherers, they studied them and said, oh my God, they burn like similar calories to like, John, who sits on his couch half the time and works at a desk.
Doritos. Yeah.
But it makes perfect sense because if our bodies didn't have that ability, we wouldn't have survived. There's no way. Calories are hard to come by. So our metabolism can adapt. Now, here's the rub. Here's where you get the science people or should I say the people who love to use science to make themselves seem smart. And the fitness influencers are really big idiots. I'm talking to most of you out there. You're mostly stupid. You give out terrible information. And then you'll use something that science says to make yourself sound smart when, those of us in the fitness space who really know this stuff know you're an idiot. What they'll do is they'll go, oh, you know what? A pound of muscle doesn't burn as many calories as they tell you. It burns like an extra 10 calories because they have some study that show. First off, the metabolism is way more complex than that. It's not as easy as saying 1 pound of muscle equals this many more calories. The truth is with the same lean body mass that you have now. So you take me, change nothing. I have a range of calories my body can burn. Okay. My body can decide either to become more or less efficient with calories. And it does this on a day-to-day basis. What controls us? What influences us? Sleep, stress, how I'm feeding myself, the types of food I'm feeding myself. My hormone profile can definitely influence this. You could take a man or a woman, artificially change their hormone profile and manipulate their metabolism to start to look different or whatever. So, and then building muscle on top of that tends to push it. Let me correct myself. The process of building muscle, sending the signal to build muscle, and feeding your body appropriately pushes the scale to what's called less efficient calorie management.
Yeah, meaning the type of environment that you're presenting it on a daily basis.
Completely. So then your body is like, I don't need to store as many calories. Look, if you don't believe me, change nothing, lose sleep for a week, get shitty sleep for a week. watch what happens. Your body all of a sudden will start storing
anybody who's
more body
trained enough people in their life, and applied reverse dieting to somebody and it has seen this firsthand.
That's
so
right.
it's always somebody who is some online fitness influencer or
Just trying to be a contrarian and like you said, gain attention or some other means to basically look like they know what they're talking about.
I mean, there's a part of me that I understand. I was this trainer. I didn't understand. I thought my clients were lying to me for the first 5 years. I really did.
I know.
I thought, I was like, I remember having clients sitting across from me that were really, really overweight. And then they would break down what they eat every day. And I'm like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
You're lying to me. There's no way you're eating that little and you're that overweight. This can't be possible. But to your point, the body's an amazing piece of machinery. It will adapt to whatever it needs to survive. And if you, for a long period of time, give it very, very low calorie, it'll become more efficient with that limited amount of calories that you give it. And so, yeah, if you've trained people for long enough.
And by the way, that's in combination with zero stimulus that tells your body you need strength and muscle.
Right.
That's two things.
Right.
Because you can try to reverse diet, but don't try to also simultaneously build muscle, in which case you'll just gain body fat. Right. You'll get a little bit of a metabolism boost because when you boost calories or drop calories, your metabolism does still adjust a little bit, but it's not significant. So if you start to slowly reverse your calories, but you don't simultaneously train appropriately to build muscle, and you don't simultaneously feed yourself appropriately, in other words, high protein, adequate nutrients, then yeah, you're not going to see that metabolism boosting effects. But look, I've seen it firsthand. I will boost people's metabolism on average by 500 calories, but sometimes much more. I've seen people go up 1,000, 1,200 calories in a day. I've seen women go from hiring me, eating 1,000 calories a day, doing crazy amounts of exercise and
This
cardio.
argument only came after the
mind-blowing.
study that showed the difference between when you isolated muscle and fat and what it requires to maintain. That is when this came out, when it's like, 10 calories. So people were like, it's insignificant. But to your point, what it takes to build that muscle and also maintain that muscle, you're not factoring that in.
Yeah.
Because if you let's say you build 10 pounds of muscle and you stop lifting weights, it'll atrophy, it'll go away. You'll lose that. So you're also got to factor in, okay, for me to maintain 10 pounds of muscle, I also have to create or send that signal, which is also utilizing and burning more calories than it just being in my body. So there's more to it.
More to the story.
There's more to it than just that. So and then you, if you know enough about what we do, is you have to accept that we're still learning too. I mean, the metabolism the gut, the brain, the universe are like some of the most complex fucking things.
Yeah.
And to think that to be so arrogant to be like, we got to figure it out because one study comes out and shows you that isolated muscle burns only 10 more calories.
This is the part that annoys me the most, is that what we do is we completely invalidate thousands and thousands of people's experiences because we say, no, that's not the case. It's like when a medication comes out and all these people say, hey, this is a side effect that's happening. And then the medical community says, no, our studies don't show that. It's all in your head.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, like,
leaky
oops.
gut syndrome's a myth.
Yeah.
It's half of those things. And it's going to, again, like this is where the scientific community, they'll have something to kind of explain their way out of that. But it's like everybody that has experienced it knows firsthand it's a real thing. So it's like, why are we contesting that?
Look, this is how complex it is, okay? They've done this with animals. They'll take a rat, they'll take two rats or two mice, one that has a quote unquote faster metabolism, one that has a quote unquote slower metabolism. So they feed them the same activity, one's fatter than the other one, okay? And they'll do a fecal transplant from the thin mouse to the more overweight mouse, meaning they take the gut microbiome and temporarily place it into the other of one mouse and put it into the other mouse. And what happens? The obese mouse loses weight.
Yeah.
From a fecal transplant.
Just from that.
From the microbiome. Now, is that the answer to everything? No, but I think that highlights.
Yeah, what we don't know.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like so much more
That's what that
complex.
highlights.
So this is all, look, you talk to coaches and trainers who have been doing this for 10 years plus, and they're going to look at you in your face when you tell them, no, you can't speed up the metabolism, where it's inconsequential, it's insignificant. And they're going to look at you like, what are you talking about? And then this is also annoys me. They'll say there's no data to support what you're saying. Okay, yeah, you're right. There still isn't in studies that really pinpoint what the hell's going on. Doesn't mean it ain't happening.
Right.
I remember you brought up leaky gut syndrome. I remember, so I was lucky enough to, when I was just a pure meathead trainer. What I mean by that is I knew, macros, calories, lifting weights, exercise. I didn't understand wellness. I didn't understand all this other stuff. But I was at least open-minded enough to know that there was market value for those types of things. So I had a studio where I would have these practitioners that did stuff that I saw value with in the market. I didn't necessarily understand it myself, but I said, hey, clients could see value in this. And I had people that practiced all these different methodologies. And I had a person in there that would do gut testing. She would do gut testing on people. Now consider this was let me think, 15 years ago, maybe more. So 15 years ago, if you said food intolerances or you said leaky gut syndrome, the medical community would laugh in your face, 100%. I actually know this because I had doctor clients who, when they would hear this person say leaky gut syndrome, would look at me and roll their eyes and say, this is so stupid. Yeah. This is, hocus pocus crap.
Pseudoscience.
Pseudoscience. Yeah. Well, I mean, lo and behold, years later, the scientific community says, intestinal hyperpermeability. It's a real thing. They named it something.
Just rebranded.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it's super annoying, and it invalidates people's experiences. So if you see a fitness influencer that says, no, you can't eat more calories and speed up your metabolism or whatever, just understand this. Understand they're just trying to get attention, and they're probably idiots.
If you listen to this show, do you think you're still following influencers like that?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, hopefully you're not.
Well, maybe if you're just tuning in, I guess, for the first time, right?